You have heard that AI is going to change everything. You have heard that some jobs are at risk. You have heard that China and the United States are in some kind of technology race. You have probably heard all of this and thought, yes, eventually, in some general sense. Probably. But here is what this video is actually about. By the end of it, you will understand 3 specific things that almost nobody outside of specialist circles has put together yet. First, the AI race is already over in one sense, and most Westerners have the winner wrong. Second, the jobs that are going to disappear first are not the ones people expect. They are not the factory floor jobs. They are yours. Third, the man who figured all of this out did so partly because he got cancer. And what that experience taught him is the only genuinely hopeful thing in the whole story. That man is Kai-Fu Lee. He ran Google China. He built AI systems at Apple and Microsoft. He has invested in hundreds of startups across both Silicon Valley and Beijing. He wrote a book called AI Superpowers in 2018. And 7 years later, it reads less like a prediction and more like a document of something already underway. Now, here is where it starts. May 2017. A room in Wuzhen, China. A 19-year-old kid in a black suit sits across from a machine. His name is KJ. He is the best Go player on the planet, and he already knows he is going to lose. He has lost twice. This is the final match. For 2 hours and 51 minutes, KG throws everything at AlphaGo, the AI built by Google's DeepMind. Conservative openings, aggressive attacks, sacrifices designed to confuse. Nothing works. The machine just tightens its grip, move by move, like a slowly closing fist. Then something breaks. K removes his glasses. He wipes tears from his eyes with the back of his hand. Just once. Quickly. Then the glasses go back on, and he stares at the board. He loses. In that room, 2 completely different stories are being told at the same time. If you are watching from Silicon Valley, you see a Western triumph. AlphaGo is a Google product. America wins again. If you are watching from Beijing, from Kai-Fu Lee's office window in Zhongguancun, the strip of streets that functions as China's answer to Sand Hill Road, you see something else. You see a Sputnik moment. You see a nation that just got the message. And the message is the age of AI is here, and China intends to win it. What follows in Lee's book is an argument so structured and so specific that it is hard to dismiss, and so uncomfortable for Western readers that most people who have heard of it still have not fully absorbed what it actually says. Let's go through it properly. To understand what Lee is arguing, you have to understand how AI actually works right now, and why that matters for the competition between nations. For most of the past 60 years, artificial intelligence was a field of spectacular ambitions and embarrassing results. Researchers promised thinking machines, then delivered nothing much. Funding dried up. AI winters came and went. The whole enterprise had a reputation for overpromising. Then, in the mid-2000s, a researcher named Geoffrey Hinton figures out how to train deep neural networks efficiently. The approach had been tried before and abandoned. Hinton and his colleagues persist. In 2012, his team enters the ImageNet Computer Vision Competition, the annual benchmark for object recognition, and destroys the field. Error rate, 16%. The next best team, 26%. That is not an improvement. That is a rupture. Deep learning arrives. And suddenly, machines can recognize faces, understand speech, read medical images, issue loans, drive cars. The gap between what computers can do and what they could do before is not incremental. It is a cliff. Here is Li's crucial insight. Deep learning is not a discovery phase anymore. It is an implementation phase. The fundamental breakthrough has already happened. What comes next is not new science. It is engineering. It is entrepreneurs taking this toolkit and applying it to every problem they can find. And this distinction, discovery versus implementation, is everything. During the discovery phase, the United States had every advantage. The world's best researchers, the world's best universities, decades of open research culture. That is where deep learning was born. American, British, Canadian minds. But in the implementation phase, the advantages shift. In the implementation phase, you need data, vast oceans of it. You need hungry entrepreneurs who will grind through unglamorous markets. You need a government that does not flinch at deploying technology before every philosophical question about it has been answered. And you need people willing to use these products at scale in their daily lives right now. On every one of those metrics, Li argues, China pulls ahead. This is where the book gets genuinely provocative. Western analysis of Chinese technology had, for decades, followed a comforting script. The Chinese are copycats. They clone our products. They can execute, but they cannot innovate. Without Silicon Valley leading, they go nowhere. Li dismantles this narrative piece by piece, and he does it with a character study. Meet Wang Xing, a man the Chinese press literally called the cloner. In 2003, Wang builds a Chinese version of Friendster. It fails. In 2005, he builds a pixel-perfect clone of Facebook, right down to Mark Zuckerberg's tagline at the bottom of each page. In 2007, he clones Twitter so faithfully that changing the URL would fool most users. In 2010, he copies Groupon. Silicon Valley sneers. China, land of copycats, shallow mimics, no original thinking. By 2017, Wang's company Meituan, the Groupon clone, is valued at $30 billion. Groupon is a shell of what it was, trading at less than a fifth of its IPO price. What happened? Wang did not succeed because of copying. He succeeded because copying put him in a coliseum, and survival in the coliseum required becoming a gladiator. Here is the truth about China's early internet era that Western commentators missed. 5,000 group-buying companies launched. 5,000. They all had the same idea. They all knew how to execute the basics. The only way to survive was to be faster, leaner, more obsessive, more creative in your business model, more willing to do whatever it took. What that era produced was not a country of copycats. It produced a generation of entrepreneurs forged in conditions of absolute competitive intensity. People who had internalized lean startup principles, not as a business school exercise, but as a survival mechanism. Every trick, every pivot, every optimization was learned under conditions where failure meant death. Wang's Meituan didn't win by staying in group buying. It expanded into food delivery, hotel bookings, ticketing, on-demand services. It became a sprawling consumer empire serving 280 million monthly active users. And the reason Wang could do that was the decade of gladiatorial combat that preceded it. Now, layer on top of this the question of data. China's internet is not the same internet as everyone else's. It evolved differently. By 2013, it had taken a hard right turn into territory with no American analog. WeChat. 1 billion users. A super app that handles messaging, payments, food delivery, doctor's appointments, tax returns, bike rentals, all from a single interface. Every interaction, every payment, every location, every tea meal ordered generates data. Real-world behavioral data, not just clicks on screens. What you ate, when you slept, how you commute, what you buy. Alipay and WeChat. Pay together handle more mobile payment transactions than the rest of the world combined, outpacing the United States by a ratio of 50-1. By 2017, total transactions on these platforms exceeded China's entire GDP. O2O services, online to offline, put armies of delivery workers in the streets, carrying meals and massages and manicures to doorsteps. Didi gives more rides per day inside China than Uber gives globally. Mobike logs 22 million bicycle rides per day, each one traced by GPS. All of this generates data, and data is the fuel, not research talent, not engineering pedigree. Data. Li's argument is stark. An average engineer with 10 times more data will outperform a world-class engineer with less. If the fundamental breakthrough is done, and it is, then the race is no longer about who has the smartest people. It is about who has the most material. China has the most material. Here is where the stakes become genuinely alarming, not for geopolitical reasons, but for human ones. Li describes 4 waves of AI washing over the global economy. Internet AI is already here. The recommendation engines that decide what you watch, what you buy, what you read. Business AI is here. Algorithms issuing loans, diagnosing illnesses, advising judges. Perception AI is arriving. Facial recognition, voice interfaces, smart cameras in every public space. Autonomous AI is coming. Self-driving vehicles, drone swarms, robotic factories. Each wave disrupts a different set of jobs, and together, they add up to something the world has never experienced before. A general-purpose technology that automates both physical and cognitive labor, simultaneously, across nearly every industry, faster than any previous technological revolution. Li does not hedge here. He looks at the economic literature and makes a call. Within 15 years, AI will be technically capable of replacing 40 to 50% of jobs in the United States. Actual displacement will lag technical capability, but the direction is unmistakable. And this is not the Luddite fallacy, the historical pattern where technology destroys some jobs and creates more. Li takes that argument seriously and then dismantles it. The Luddite fallacy relies on past GPTs, general-purpose technologies like the steam engine and electricity, following a pattern of de-skilling, taking complex work done by few people and breaking it into simple tasks done by many. That created jobs. That is how a world of farmers became a world of factory workers. AI does not de-skill. AI replaces. It does not take a complex task and break it down. It simply performs the task itself, better than any human, at near zero marginal cost. A tax preparation algorithm does not create a workforce of simpler tax-related jobs. It makes tax preparers obsolete. The inequality implications are cascading. AI naturally creates winner-take-all dynamics. More data makes better products. Better products attract more users. More users generate more data. Once a company jumps out to a lead, the lead compounds. There is no natural corrective mechanism. The profits concentrate at the top, while the disruption disperses through the middle and bottom. And here is the part that does not make the headlines. This is not a temporary shock. It is not the 2008 financial crisis, a brutal contraction followed by recovery. It is structural. If 50 million American workers are displaced by algorithms, they are not coming back. The jobs they did will not exist in the same form again. What do you tell those people? What do they do? And what does it mean for a society organized around the premise that work is how you earn your place? The book ends somewhere unexpected. In 2013, Kai-Fu Lee is diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma. He is given about 5 years. He has spent his life optimizing for output, for productivity, for professional achievement, building careers at some of the most prestigious institutions in the world, investing in hundreds of companies, delivering speeches to the global elite. And now he is facing a question that none of that prepared him to answer. What matters? Not as a strategy question, as a human question. He does not die. He recovers, slowly and incompletely. But the experience changes what he sees when he looks at the AI crisis. The jobs crisis is real. The numbers are real. The disruption is coming, and it will be severe, and it will not discriminate. It will take accountants and radiologists and truck drivers and paralegals and assembly line workers. But the jobs crisis is, at its root, a meaning crisis. For centuries, human beings have organized their identity around labor. You are what you do. You earn your dignity through your work. The transaction of time for wages is how we locate ourselves in society. Artificial intelligence does not just take those jobs. It takes that framework. Lee's prescription is not socialism or universal basic income, though he engages with those ideas. His deeper argument is that AI forces us to answer a question we have been avoiding. What is uniquely, irreducibly human? He believes the answer is love. Not romantic love specifically, but the capacity for genuine care, for creativity, for compassion, for forming meaningful connections with other people. These are the things that AI cannot replicate, not because engineers haven't tried, but because they require something that data cannot contain. The machines are brilliant. They are faster and more accurate and more tireless than any human. They are coming for every job that can be optimized from data. They cannot love your grandmother. They cannot hold your hand in a hospital. They cannot make you feel that your specific, individual life matters to another conscious being. The challenge of the AI age is not just economic policy. It is cultural redirection toward the things that machines can never provide and that markets have chronically undervalued. KG lost to AlphaGo in 3 straight games. But something happened in those matches that the machine could not understand and will never experience. 2 billion people watched. They cried with him. They called him the people's champion, even though he lost. Because in his willingness to face the unbeatable, to give everything in the attempt, to let himself be seen in defeat, there was something human that no win probability calculation will ever capture. That is where we have to start. The AI race between the United States and China is real. The stakes are geopolitical, economic, and civilizational. China's advantages in data, entrepreneurship, and government alignment are genuine and growing. America's advantages in elite research and open immigration are real, but increasingly tested. But the deeper question underneath the geopolitics is whether either country, or any country, will have the wisdom to ask what the technology is for, not what it can do, what it is for. That question does not get answered in a policy report. It gets answered in how we choose to live, what we choose to value, and whether we build systems that reserve a place for human dignity in a world where machines do everything faster. AI Superpowers is a book about a race, but the race it is really describing is the one inside the race, the one that asks whether the people who build the future will build it for people. The answer is not predetermined. That is both the terrifying thing and the only reason to hope.